Was that muted the entire time? Hi. H3H3, Ethan Klein, a man who I am well acquainted with, but whom I have not been really watching the content of over these last 4 or 5 years. The man who I simulated the death of in one of my most popular videos, the death of H3H3 Productions. That was me, and I am back to talk about H3 once again. I've been looking into H3's content recently because a lot of people have been messaging me, leaving comments, basically saying, yo, you should take a look, H3H3 versus Hasan, H3's base now, all this stuff. I was like, okay, what is going on? Why is this the sentiment? And I was looking into it, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really as enthusiastically on H3's wave as I think I've seen a lot of other commentators. Now, the purpose of this little rant I'm gonna go on is not really to say H3 bad, whatever the hell. It is just to provide a little warning or a bit of an aside for commentators or anybody who thinks H3's cool now. I have not had a problem with H3, and I don't at the moment really care enough to have a problem with H3 at all. But what I will say is that it seems like there is a lot of people who are almost solely siding or backing H3 right now because he is providing antagonism. He is providing a counter voice to Hasan Abi, who streams on Twitch, one of the biggest Twitch streamers. And I do not really think that this is the most sound reasoning for backing H3. What needs to be fucking taken in, really swallowed and chewed up and fucking processed, is that this drama is basically on the back end of a fucking global conflict that is way out of almost every single one of our leagues in terms of discussion, especially fucking H3. Now, of course, the natural response is like, hey, but fucking it's out of Hasan's depth as well. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But if it's out of Hasan's depth, you need to realize that H3 brought Hasan onto his podcast as the political expert. So that should give you a kind of an understanding of H3's position when it comes to politics. Keep in mind, I've just seen that H3 posted on Instagram that he was not aware of Hasan's politics. Keep that in mind. There's two options, really. That he would lie so fucking blatantly. If you have any awareness of Hasan, you know that he's a fucking communist. You know that he's like serious about his politics. He really is not even trying to hide that. And Ethan kind of makes it seem like Hasan tries to hide his politics. I'm pretty sure that every fucking person who knows Hasan, including his fans, his enemies, etc., knows that he's a communist. So it's either that H3 is lying about that he didn't know Hasan's politics, or he's fucking stupid. It could be something in between, I understand, but if I had to guess, and again, this is not a shot at H3, it's just me trying to understand how the fuck could you start a podcast with a man whose politics you did not know, where he is like the lead political commentator? How the fuck is that possible? It's either basically he brought Hasan on because he was popular, because it was like this new wave, and the audience was really like resonating well with Ethan. The vibe I get is that it was opportunistic, okay? It was convenient. It worked and meshed well with the direction that H3 had been going, right? Because of course everyone says, you know, the fallen fans of H3 at that time, okay? Everyone basically framed them, not totally inaccurately, as far right or whatever you would say. And so, of course, it's natural, I guess, that H3 was like, whoa, okay, so we have Hasan who's popping the fuck off. Let's be clear, like Hasan was doing extremely well, all right? And he had just, you know, dropped Trisha Paytas, okay? And so here we have Hasan, who's certainly a very different character from Trisha, right? And H3 kind of let him jump on board. Okay, and it was working well. And of course, the tragic fucking events of October 7th completely derailed this entire working relationship that these two had, okay? I understand that there was some turbulence, there was a little bit of, you know, confusions that were beginning to arise leading up to October 7th, but it's very obvious that the prime contradictions were emphasized on, you know, the days and weeks and months following, you know, these tragedies, okay? Now, I don't know why H3, you know, didn't know Hasan's politics or claims to not have known, but when it comes to the actual conflict, okay, which is, in my opinion, what should be fucking focused on, right? Not these interpersonal dramas. I understand, of course, there's a time and a place to cover these things, and Hasan should be held accountable for whatever the fuck he's done wrong. I totally understand that, but I would be careful about raising up H3 as this, you know, figure in this setting because it's just strange, right? It's strange in the sense that what I am basically seeing from H3H3 is a fucking cancellation campaign, right? Is it not? Am I confused? You can tell me if I am confused, but I think I am seeing clearly. And what I am seeing is basically, obviously, H3H3 is not an advocate for whatever you'd say, freedom of speech, sure. But more than that, he is clearly advocating for fucking platforming Hasan in this case, right? And, you know, I understand, again, the fucking deplorables, right? Like Frogan, whoever the hell. From what I understand, these people have been punished, okay? But the thing that confuses me, right, is again seeing so many commentators who have been so vehemently against deplatforming in the past. Suddenly, when it's being levied toward Hasan, it's permissible. I'm not going to say it's endorsable because I'm not like claiming that I've seen all these commentators endorsing Hasan getting deplatformed, but it's like very clearly there is a heavy fucking lack of sympathy or even like lip service, really, in terms of like, you know, defending Hasan against being deplatformed. And I understand because, of course, I don't believe, from what I'm aware, which I'm not super aware, but I do not believe Hasan would defend, you know, any of them if they got deplatformed, all right? I don't think that Hasan is really a freedom of speech type, if that makes sense. But it is ironic, I would say, that there are, you know, people who are endorsing H3H3 so vehemently when he is the most fucking blatant that we have ever seen him, okay, in trying to cancel somebody. Keep in mind that, what was it, 4 years ago, okay, the events that led up to H3H3 watching my video critical of him, okay, the reason that I'm on the map, really, the events that led up to that were H3H3 uploading three content nukes on Keemstar, okay? And a big debate that was occurring at that time was H3H3 trying to get Keemstar deplatformed? Was H3H3 trying to target Keemstar's sponsors? The answer is yes, but the point that I'm getting at is that basically all the commentators rallied against H3H3 at this time because he tried to get Keemstar's funding pulled effectively. Well, now he is doing that on a massive fucking level, like a league above, okay? He is pretty overtly calling for, you know, punishment, I guess you could say, external forces to pull out, right? There is the ADL involved, there is, you know, boycotts through Dan Saltman, okay? There are, and I understand that H3 is not directly involved with Dan Saltman, but the words that I am seeing, okay, I see past the smoke, the dust, whatever. All right. And yes, to once again emphasize, I don't give a fuck. Like, Hasan is probably a dumbass, and there are probably fucking things that he deserves to be held accountable for. All right. But since when, as commentators, do we actually actively endorse the people who are trying to make the fucking platform hold someone accountable? I get it, though. I get it, because Twitch's double standards are, you know, so brutal, right? But as far as I've seen, it is just like true, right? Like if the unifying fact, okay, if to stop talking to commentators and to now talk to, you know, H3 or Hasan or whomever, right? The one thing that seems to tie Hasan and H3 together is that they both believe mass scale atrocities are occurring in Palestine, right? They have both actively been saying that. Is that correct? And so would it not be wise in a way to look a little bit past the ego battle that is occurring? Because let's be clear, it is an ego battle, okay? Whether Hasan is a net negative to his platform, whether he is a net negative to the world, whether either of them are, it is an ego battle, okay? There's all the cope in the world that can justify trying to get someone it's also an ego battle, 100%, right? You cannot fully separate the two. But if you were to try, could the focus not become basically on just actually talking about the fucking atrocities? Would that not make more sense? Because again, it's not me saying that either needs to concede to anything. It's just like, why not focus on the thing they agree on? And the thing that they would both agree is more important than trying to get each other deplatformed. Look, I understand the gut feeling of really disliking Hasan. Of course, I have seen a lot of videos pointing out how fucking much of an idiot Hasan can be and is and whatever. Willie Mack's video, like Hasan has, honestly, it's impressive in a way how little Hasan even tries to communicate or to, defend himself within the commentary sphere. All right, he does not try any outreach, and I do think that is a fuck up, in my opinion. There are people who will argue, why should he care about those deplorables? Well, it's like, yeah, but these deplorables actually get millions of people listening to them, believe it or not. So there is a reason he should care. And look, here's my plea to H3H3. If you want to continue making videos about Hasan, or if you feel like he is a genuine negative force and that he is promoting anti-Semitism, I believe is the main thing he's saying, why the fuck are you not making a main channel video about this? In a similar vein that you did with Keemstar, right? Why is it on a side channel and like halfway through podcasts and in this scattered format? Why not take the time and upload to your main channel after all these years? I do think it would reach probably the most amount of people with the most potency. Okay? But no, it's strange. I don't know. The shit flinging is like pathetic to me in a way. I don't know. It's like desperate. There's a weird energy emitting from it. I'm getting a vibe that H3H3 is flailing, okay? And it makes sense to me because on one level I do empathize, right? Because he was trying to do what he thought was right, okay, by basically aligning with a more progressive sect of the internet, okay, with Hasan. And when the politics got too real for him, okay, when he started to realize that Hasan is more extreme, okay, than Ethan would wanted to believe, right? Or that was convenient for him to believe. Well, H3 kind of got spooked, and he didn't know how to feel about it for a while, and now he is pissed, which I could understand being pissed, right? Because, yes, you did provide your platform for this individual whom you now seem to think is a net negative to this world or something like that, right? At the end of the day, this is a beast of H3H3's own creation, something I think he's acknowledged at this point. And the real reason I think that he's flailing is basically because he is being ripped apart, okay? He is kind of alienated, all right, his, legacy audience, the people who were there for like the edgier side of him, whatever you would say. And now he is alienating his more, I guess you could say, progressive audience, right? They're also too edgy for him, right, in their politics now. And so he's having a hard time grounding himself, it seems like. He is confused, scared, and fucking angry, which I understand. But at the same time, when you're, in my experience at the very least, when you're disoriented and you're unsure of where to go, how to progress, one of the best things you could possibly do is to stop posting online, to regroup, coordinate yourself, produce some coherent arguments, have them tested behind the scenes, and then release them in a refined manner. What I'm seeing is just actually frantic behavior, to be honest. It does not come off in any way like a professional at all, which is something, ironically, that I remember H3 mentioned, that I was like, an amateur, right? And that I would get my details messed up. It makes sense because I'm an amateur. Well, I mean, H3 is as amateurish as they can come. Just because you got fucking like 1 million, 2 million, 3, 4, 5 million subs does not make you not an amateur. In fact, I don't know. I think it's often the fucking case, right, that people who like make consistent money for relatively underwhelming, especially in the research department, content would become complacent, right? Like, what is the onus to improve the information if what you are used to providing is sufficient? You know what I mean? And the answer is not much. Okay, that's the big thing that you need to understand. There is really not much to be gained as an independent outlet to be covering geopolitical atrocities on these platforms, on YouTube especially, okay? It makes sense that H3, would basically effectively be turning on someone like Hasan and focusing and really singling in on kind of this more dramatic angle where it's like Hasan kind of betrayed him, right? Betrayed his trust, is anti-Semitic, he would be focusing on this interpersonal drama instead of the actual fucking conflict. The conflict is literally an aside to the realities of his relationship with Hasan, which is fucking insane. And it implies a insane amount of terminally online brain rot. Okay? Hopefully that's not too nuclear, okay? I don't mean this in a way that I want to alienate people, okay? What I really do want is more so to kind of be a little bit more raw and honest about how I feel about this, which is like, look, if you think H3 is spitting facts right now, just remain a little bit skeptical, because I see someone who is not in full control. And again, that's no commentary on Hasan, whatever. But yeah, probably consuming drama that is like adjacent to the realities of geopolitics, probably that's better than nothing, probably. But the more ideal pathway is definitely to learn directly about the geopolitical struggles that are ongoing, okay? If you're going to learn, ideally, stop focusing on the fucking news and learn more about the history, okay? So that you can gain more lenses, a greater context for how this, event has unfolded and why it has happened, and maybe even some fucking paths forward. Stare too long into the brain rot, and the brain rot will stare back to you. Yeah, that's just facts, though. Gaze into the abyss, it looks back, okay? And it does seem like again, it's not. I don't have any kind of actual and at all. I don't have any real aggression or disdain for H3 because you can see it. Like, the guy, he doesn't seem happy, right? Like, he doesn't seem. This sincerely does bother him, right? Like, I think on a lot of levels, this actually disrupts his peace, right? But yeah, man, I mean, you have a platform too. You got to wield it, responsibly too. Some self-reflection is probably in order. From what I'm aware, right, Hasan actually is one of the largest outlets on the internet that is blatantly pro-Palestine. And I understand that H3 thinks he's too aggressively pro-Palestine, right, to the extent that he's anti-Semitic. And I definitely understand why that would concern him. But at the same time, Hasan is a fucking tiny fish in a vast sea of outlets that are very much pro-Israel, or at the very least sympathetic to Israel, or will undermine the actions of Israel. To me, I don't think that H3 wants to be another one of those voices. So hopefully that won't become the case. So here's what I'm talking about, okay? H3's been uploading to, a secondary channel that he has called Ethan Klein, all right? Whoa, H3's name is Ethan Klein? Oh my god, that's crazy. I got into a drama with this guy like 5 years ago. And so this is the most recent video that he has uploaded. He's been uploading a lot of videos effectively lambasting Hasan, defending himself against Hasan. It's been a bit of a saga, I guess you could say. It seems like he may have deleted some videos, but I might be tripping. I'm not gonna lie. I might be confused. I think I'm confusing because he has podcast episodes too. He covers this stuff. But anyway, the most recent video, Hasan Piker is a Weasley little liar. Very clever. That's a reference to a Hasan Piker quote, okay? Because Hasan Piker has famously called people Weasley little liars. So here we go.
Hello. I'm here to address something that happened on Thursday's show. We were doing our post-election cope stream, and the subject of Israel had came up, and here is what was said about it. Let's take a look. Trump
is so pro-Israel, it's insane.
Not only is he pro-Israel, he hates Arabs.
Him and Bibi talk a lot, and Bibi's become a lot like Trump.
Yeah, so. Bibi's his guy. They're like homies. Bibi's celebrating last night.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired him because they had a disagreement, and that's like so Trump coded.
Well, he was like a moderating voice in the war room.
Yeah.
And he got rid of him, or at least a more moderate voice. I don't know anything about the guy. Here we're
okay. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna let Ethan talk, but then I will unpack a little bit what he's saying. But I want to say, okay, This motherfucker is who they are referencing, all right? Our boy, Yoav Gallant, okay? Yeah, this guy, for those who don't know, he actually had an appearance. He was a guest cameo in the Sneeko video that I released, the absolute annihilation of Sneeko, okay? Video Vigilante. The third session. The one I made on H3 was the first, right? So, our boy Yoav actually got a couple frames in the Sneeko video. Guess what the context was? Here's a refresher. But in practice, well, it's just genocide.
Have one more election where white people.
Yeah, let's talk about white nationalism. Anyway, to put it lightly, okay, for anybody who has covered this conflict in any capacity, for anybody who has even observed, right, like through any form of media, the things that elected and representatives of Israel have been saying, you would be very intimately aware of who Yoav is, okay? To put it lightly, this guy is definitely not a fucking pacifist. In fact, he's the Israeli defense minister, meaning that, well, when the October 7th attack initially occurred, he's like, you know, a guy who might have had a lot of blame pointed toward himself, but at the same time, he is also the guy who had to prove himself in that instance. And so he was not moderate to say the least, okay? Like, that is a crazy take for H3 to say that he is more moderate, or that he got kicked out because he was more moderate. Again, we'll kind of unpack what H3 is saying, and I'm not trying to twist this in any kind of way. I want to show, right, that, like, it's not that H3, I don't think that he is a bad actor, okay? I don't think he's operating in bad faith, but I do think that he is extremely ill-informed, and that he is kind of retroactively learning a fucking lot in order to serve his larger, you know, purposes, which is a common thing that people do, and, you know, none of us are probably exempt from it, but it's important to point out, right?
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם, ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
Yeah, so that describes, I would say, super poignantly where this guy stands. Human animals. Okay, so not the more moderate voice. That is definitely an inaccuracy. So let's just let him finish, though. Let's keep her going.
We're talking about Yoav Gallant, who was a member of Netanyahu's war cabinet.
The defense minister.
Who just yesterday was fired by Netanyahu because he wanted to end the war. And
that is not accurate, put it lightly. I'll let him keep going.
Netanyahu wants to continue the war. And
man, this is such a insanely binary way to view this conflict. It's actually insane. This guy wants to end it, and this guy wants to continue it. The reality is not that simple at all.
Therefore, he fired him. Once he was fired, people in Israel took to the streets and are protesting because, as far right as Netanyahu's, you know, war cabinet is, he is literally a moderating voice in that cabinet, and was the only one representing the people and pushing for the war to end.
All right, what is that based on? What are you basing that opinion on? I think that I'm assuming that what he is basing that opinion on is on Yoav's own words, okay? I believe that after he was dismissed from his position as the defense minister of Israel, that he made a public statement, basically, you know, kind of tooting his own horn in a sense. So he's taking for granted that the defense minister of Israel, who is obviously pissed off that he got dismissed, is telling the whole truth about why he was dismissed. Nice dog, though. This is a cute dog, damn. Sheesh.
The problem with Yoav, which I don't even think Ela probably knew at the time, because this war's been going on for so long, is that he's somewhat infamous for this quote here. He said on October 8th There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly.
I don't know. I feel like this would be hard to forget. I definitely didn't fucking forget this, but you know, whatever. I don't know.
He's talking about entering Gaza in the first phases of the war. Now, a lot of people look at this language and think that it's dehumanizing and genocidal, and I'm one of those people. I agree that this is a horrible thing to say, and I don't defend him, and I never would defend him a statement like this, which I assume people who watch this show know and understand. Now, a year plus later, for whatever reason, this is the same guy who's advocating for the war to end in Israel. And Ela, looking over...
Based on what, brother? Holy fuck, man. Based on what?
The news, sees that people are rioting, that people are upset.
Protests erupt in Israel after Netanyahu fires defense minister. Okay, please tell me what, tell me the outlet that you are at least using to say that he wanted to end the war. Okay, because the only outlets that I have seen that say anything even along those lines are basically more so saying they want to end the blind siege in Gaza so that they can do a more focused effort to, you know, collect hostages. And again, that was according to the man himself who had just been fired. Whereas other sources, okay, are basically claiming something along the lines that this defense minister actually wanted to conscript Orthodox Jews and factions basically of the Jewish population in Israel that would be vehemently against conscription. And so the speculation is that Netanyahu actually dismissed this man because he was trying to angle for positions that would put Netanyahu at a political disadvantage, right? Because Orthodox Jews would be furious if they were forced to fight. But anyway.
And that people who want the war to end are upset that he got fired, and that's basically all that happened. We're talking about the fact that he's the only person that wants to end the war, and I personally don't understand how that's not relevant.
Okay. It would be. Just worth point that out, bro.
Here from The Guardian, a left-leaning newspaper you guys all probably know. Here's a headline. Benjamin Netanyahu fires Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, triggering protests in Israel. Demonstration in Tel Aviv, widely seen by Israel's allies as a break on far-right elements of the Israeli government. Again, this isn't just my opinion. This is...
Okay, Yoav Gallant, a figure widely considered by Israel's international allies to be a break on the far-right elements of the country's coalition government. Okay, prompting protests around Israel. Netanyahu said in a video statement, significant gaps on handling the battle in Gaza had emerged. At the height of the war, complete trust is needed between the prime minister and the defense minister. In recent months, that trust between me and the defense minister was damaged. The move prompted protests across the country. This in no way does this say he's trying to end the fucking war. Okay? Disagreeing on strategy, disagreeing on political alliances, resulting in a falling out, and a separation or a dismissal, does not instantly make one assume that one is pro-war, one's anti-war, unless your fucking brain is rotten through the core and you can only view massively complicated global conflicts in a binary sense, almost like two sides of a coin.
Elements of the Israeli government. Again, this isn't just my opinion. This is opinion that's held by internationally, that he is a moderating voice on the war cabinet, once again, advocating for the war to end, which is what I thought we all wanted. Here's another article.
Definitely want that.
Article from The Guardian.
What is the... So, wait, okay, my bad. I think I understand. The reason for this video is basically that there was a clip, I guess, on their stream where they were kind of just chilling, kind of loose, and I think it was Ela or Ethan kind of offhandedly referred to this man as like one of the good guys, effectively, you know what I mean, or at the very least not like a bad guy, right? I think that's what it is. And so I think that the reason that this caused outrage is that it reveals the ignorance, I guess, that these to have on the conflict or on, how Israel, like the actual people who are running Israel.
Yoav Gallant reportedly says Israeli army has nothing left to do in Gaza.
Okay.
The
Okay, but you have to keep in mind, right? Ethan, I don't know how he's interpreting this, right? I would love to have a conversation with him. I know that's not happening, but what he is uncritically digesting here and basically espousing to his audience, which, by the way, fucking comments disabled, bro. I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, I mean, 150,000 people. What he's espousing is he's allowing the guy who just got fired basically to say, I did my job and I did it well. You understand? This guy was in charge of the fucking invasion, the ground invasion, every aspect of the retaliation against the people who incited on October 7th. This guy was that guy, like head honcho of fucking Kill Squad. And so of course this guy is going to say, now that he doesn't have the job, he's going to say, I did it. There's nothing left to do because I did it.
The defense minister also quoted as saying Netanyahu rejected peace deals against advice of his security officials. As you can see, I'm not saying any of this to defend him. What he said and what he's done should very well be investigated by the International Criminal Court, and if he's found,
yeah, just because there's a warrant out for his arrest. That's why. Because he's a war criminal.
He should submit to an investigation. If he's found guilty, then charge him. But what I am saying is that I think that while Hila misspoke and said he's a good guy, her intention was that, this guy is trying to end the war. And I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page as that being a good thing.
I feel like the reason I brought it up was mainly to express the frustration with Bibi and him firing the one guy that was...
Why the fuck are they calling Netanyahu Bibi? It makes him sound like a little fella, a little cutie, a little fella, man. Okay, so Hila's now on the mic, bro. It's just wild, bro. Like, why the fuck are you using a webcam and a shit mic? What's going on, my brother? This is such a strange format. What the fuck has happened?
Somewhat,
You disappear for a couple years and shit just... Man's hair is so much more white, dude. This guy's stressing. My brother. Holy shit, I'm sorry.
Attempting at moderation. The reason I brought it up was mainly to express the frustration with Bibi and him firing the one guy that was somewhat, attempting at moderation. It wasn't really so much to say Gallant is a good guy. I shouldn't have used that word. That was a bad choice on my part, considering stuff that he has said that I was not even thinking of. Really coming from the concerning feeling of like, we have Trump in office and Bibi just fired the guy that is opposing him.
He fired the guy that was the fucking defense minister that literally like enacted every single fucking war crime that is being discussed. How the fuck do you in any context frame him as the good guy unless you kind of think that? Unless you're completely unaware of what's going on. Which I don't know. I have no idea. Like, it's one or the other, man. It's like, you're totally fucking uninformed or, you're sympathetic to this guy, right? Like,
that's all I was trying to say, but I do understand that was not a good choice of words, and I would not have said that again.
Fair enough.
So I'm stepping away for a little while from being on camera and being on the podcast. It's too much, and it's not fair for everybody. And yeah.
Fuck, man. That's wild. Alright, so no more Hila, I guess. I don't know. On the podcast. Did she apologize? I don't think she apologized. I don't know. I'm not here to demand a fucking apology from anybody, but this so much about this is just weird. There's a liminal energy to this, the way it's framed. I don't know. This gives me bad fucking vibes.
So that's where our head was at when we said that. But now people like Hasan are going on their channels and accusing us of supporting a war criminal. Anyway, here's what Hasan said this evening about the clip that sent everybody into a frenzy.
Crazy. I just hate how Ethan is brigading smaller content creators like the deprogram because he couldn't get to you. It's fucking gross how he keeps picking smaller content creators that are just getting by, and he is sitting on his golden throne. Is just straight up harassment. I know he's just.
I can't get over the fact that they keep fucking crying about me responding to these communities. Like, this is the biggest socialist podcast. They have like they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Second,
Yeah, I think the deprogram can fucking defend themselves. I don't know. I think that the rest of this is more hyper fixating on Hasan. I don't really like. Again, it's like, do I even care? Like that they offhandedly said this comment.
hello, I'm here to
I don't like.
address something that happened
Let me just see it again.
on Thursday's show. We were doing our post-election cope stream, and the subject of Israel had came up, and here is what was said about it. Let's take a look.
Trump is so pro-Israel, it's insane.
Not only is he pro-Israel,
him
he
and
hates
Bibi,
Arabs.
him
Yeah,
and
for
Bibi
sure.
like talk a lot, and Bibi's become a lot like Trump.
Yeah,
so.
Bibi's his guy. They're like homies. Bibi's celebrating last night.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he
Oh, okay. I definitely understand why this is controversial. My bad. Yeah. Okay, I get it. She definitely said that with like a confidence to her.
fired him because they had a disagreement, and that's like so Trump coded.
Well, he was like a moderating voice in the war room,
yeah.
and he got rid of him, or at least a more moderate voice. I don't know anything about the guy.
I mean, look, I just think they barely know what the fuck they're talking about. Okay, if I'm gonna, the best like faith I think I could give is just to say I believe them when they say that they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like Ethan just said, I don't even know shit, and it's clear, like you don't. Okay, just shut the fuck up about it then. Like I don't. Shut the fuck up. Stay offline for a little bit. Maybe read. Maybe fucking like I don't know. Level up in this domain a bit, and yeah, handle it with a bit more fucking tact, care, and refined energy. That's pretty much all you can do, right? Is that not? I feel like that's the prescription. Okay, I ain't a doctor, I ain't got my master's either, but that's what I got for you. I don't know. Okay, look, I do not want to burn the H3 bridge, okay? Because I actually genuinely do not have fucking like personal negative feelings toward H3. As much as that might sound like cope, I fucking wish the best for this guy, okay? On a lot of dimensions. But obviously there is a lot to be desired, okay? And it's very clear that he has been not the best informed when it comes to what he is talking about in recent times, okay? Again, despite the fact that a lot of people are kind of backing him or like enthusiastic about H3 right now because he is opposing Hasan, he is really clearly not that much better in any context when it comes to politics in the terms of being aware, right? Like in terms of being a source of information. He's certainly less extreme, okay? Like H3 is like whatever he describes himself as. I think he describes himself as like a liberal progressive, something like that. I think that's an accurate, probably, like, distinction for what he is. You know what I mean? He is not a radical or whatever, as he says Hasan is. But yeah, when it comes to, like, his actual awareness, his actual knowledge, his actual care when it comes to geopolitical conversations, yeah, I mean, he's not informed. He's not a thought leader. He's not someone you should probably listen to. And, of course, you could say the same about Hasan, but, like, you know, I just don't want people to raise him to too high of a pedestal. Now, there has been a massive schism, as I was mentioning, in his fucking audience. That's the biggest pain point, it seems like, for H3 at the moment, is that he alienated his, you know, reactionary, edgy audience, you know, from the 2016 days or whatever. And then he collected some, you know, progressives through Hasan, and now, suddenly, he is basically saying that his progressive fan base that he cultivated through Hasan is like too reactionary or too radical basically for him. And so now he is in yet again in a bit of a identity crisis, flailing and kind of grasping at straws to try and reorient himself, right? Like he is, not going to lie, the amount that he is talking about Hasan on his podcasts, and he's like uploading strange videos from his basement, it seems like, from his webcam. He is kind of just like scattered. It's there's a sense of like desperation that's emanating, and so I've already said I think that he should, if he wants to try and communicate what he's trying to, his opinions in a more concise way, he should just take some time, go offline, and work on a main channel video, because it was a problem back in the day, for those who remember, that H3 like was always on Twitter. He was always talking, reacting, and like causing problems for himself on Twitter, right? He was a complete dopamine demon, boy. And so he got off Twitter. Well, now he's on, it seems like, Instagram and YouTube, and just like the problem doesn't seem to be going away, right? So yeah, that's probably what I would suggest.